Hi, this is Betty, and I'm outside working in the garden this morning and decided to do a video on the benefits and the drawbacks to raised bed gardening. First, I'm going to talk about what I really like about it. The pathways are clearly marked, and they'll be in the same place every year. When we had the garden rototilled, this whole area, we had pathways in different places depending on what we were growing. And so as we rototilled, the soil became more compacted, and then of course we worsened it by walking on it. So with the raised bed gardenings, the paths are clearly marked and the beds are never walked on, and so the soil does not get compacted in the beds. We have no need to rototill, and it's easier to do the garden layering, which is, I really like the idea of the layering. So that way we can add to the soil every year, and it's in the same place, and I don't need to worry about adding to the soil in the pathways. What we are going to do is next spring, early next spring, when these weeds have died down, we're going to put wood chips in the aisles, in the pathways, and that way it will still benefit the soil, but it'll help control the weeds. These are dandelions, and I usually pull these up and feed them to my chickens, and I'll be doing that in a few minutes. But in this garden bed, I have a late crop of Swiss chard growing. It's September 5th, so I planted it late. I soaked the seeds overnight, and that helped make the sprouting quicker. But we won't have a freeze for probably another month or so, and so this will still get pretty big. And then I've got a late crop of beets growing here, and I thinned them out. They were pretty close together. This part I have grown marigolds from seed, and it doesn't matter if they don't bloom this year, but I think they will. We'll see how it goes. But I can till them into the soil. Well, we're not going to rototill. Just probably what I'll end up doing is when I layer this bed, this end of the bed, in about another couple months, I'll just put it right over the marigolds, and that'll help cut down on some of the pests next year. And I am going to do a video on companion gardening. Anyway, so the thing about the raised bed gardening is that it's very organized, and I like things organized in a way where I can plan things out every year, know exactly where I'm going to plant everything and where I'm going to add soil amendments. And the other thing is that I put in black plastic on the sides, and I'm really glad I did that. It's not in the bottom of the bed, it's only on the sides. Because this is one of the negatives to raised bed gardening, is that the garden beds dry out quicker. I'm used to irrigating when I have a garden, and we have drip method in the raised bed gardening, but because they're above ground, they dry out quicker. And if I hadn't put this black plastic on the sides, the water would have leaked out through the cracks here, and it wouldn't have been as beneficial, I think. The watering would have had to have been done more often than what I was doing. And you don't want to water more often than 3 days. And one of the reasons why is that the earthworms, we're trying to encourage earthworms in our garden. And there's a lot of reasons, benefits for having earthworms, but they don't like wet soil. And so you don't want to water too often. If you water every other day or even every day, that really discourages the earthworm activity. So we need more earthworms here, and I'm trying to encourage more in my garden beds. The other disadvantage to raised beds gardening, of course, is the cost. We knew that using the cinder blocks would cost more money than just having a flat garden, and we decided to make the investment, and then we'll have this ready every year. But yeah, we worked on it all summer long, making each bed, getting all planted, but it does cost money, and I think we spent, I don't know, I'll have to ask my husband, but yeah, they aren't cheap. We got a discount at Lowe's, so that helped. Another disadvantage to using the cinder blocks is we didn't have time to fill in all the holes, and my granddaughters are going to come and help fill these holes in. But in the meantime, while I've been getting each of the beds ready, spiders moved into the holes, and we caught, my granddaughter did, a black widow spider and some hobo spiders. I think she's caught about 7, and she loves to catch them, so she's going to come again today. And I don't mind garden spiders, I just don't want poisonous ones. I have 13 grandchildren, and they're all pretty young, and they come out in the garden and they like walking around, and yeah, they play in the dirt and the holes, and I just don't want to risk them getting bit by a poisonous spider, or even me. I don't like spiders anyway, but I'll tolerate garden ones, just not some poisonous ones. So the other disadvantage is that in these plants that I put in the holes, they need water more often because they dry out much quicker. They are the ones that are on the very edge of these cinder blocks. So I've had to water them, probably some of them, the big tall cosmos, need water almost every day. And with the marigolds, they need water about every other day, or they just dry out too much. They become, I don't know, withered looking. So you have to water them more often. So that's the disadvantages. I've added more mulch to the soil. You can see I've planted it here. You don't want to put mulch up against the stems of the plants because they need oxygen. They need to be able to have some room to breathe. As you know from one of my past videos, our beans did not come up very well. So next year I am not going to order from Burpee. That's traditionally who I've ordered from year after year, but yeah, they must have got some old beans from one of their growers. I don't know what to think, but they didn't do well. And everybody else I've talked to that's got their beans coming up really well just got them from the local seed company here in town, and so it's a feed store. So I'll just go ahead and get my beans next year from them. And I've had bad luck with Burpee beans for about the last 3 years. So it's time to try something new. My zinnias absolutely love the raised garden bed. My cabbages are doing well. I have one that has, I don't know why just one, I'll show you, but the aphids absolutely love this cabbage, and I don't think it's going to do very well. I don't know if you can see, but anyway, I'm just going to watch it in the next couple of weeks. I spray the aphids off, I put DE on it, but they still love this particular cabbage plant. The other cabbages are doing fine. I haven't seen I don't even think I've seen one aphid on them. But anyway, so I might just plain dig that cabbage plant up. If it doesn't look like I'm going to have a very big head in the next couple weeks, it's getting close to when we can have a frost, and so if the head isn't big enough, it may not make it to frost time. It just won't be ready. So anyway, that's the advantages and disadvantages to having raised garden beds, and I highly encourage you to try them because I just think they're so much better than having the I call it the old-fashioned gardening where it was all flat and we just did it in rows. So anyway, leave some comments and any questions that you have, and if you like the video, please push like and subscribe. Thanks, bye.